Minecraft is getting a new underwater update. The next upcoming drop is called Mounts of Mayhem, and we will be getting a new weapon, new armor, and 2 new underwater mobs. The zombie horse is finally making a return, and a new zombie type is being added as well. We've also been given a release date for the copper update, so in this video I'll be showing all the new things coming to 2 of Minecraft's newest updates. The first new feature that is confirmed to be added in Minecraft's next drop is the addition of a brand new weapon, and that weapon is the spear. Now, from what has been revealed, the spear is going to look like this, but what's even more interesting is that the spear will come in 6 different tiers. Now, those spear tiers will start with wood, gold, copper, iron, diamond, and finally, netherite. Yep, that's right, you're even going to be able to get a netherite spear, which I imagine will do a lot of damage. Now, the spear has been described as being a great weapon for both hand-to-hand combat with other players and mobs, as well as being effective for mounted combat. This means the spear will be quite an effective weapon to use when riding a horse, for example, due to the spear having a longer range than other weapons. Another feature that's confirmed about the new spear weapon is that the damage of the spear will be based on the speed of the player when they're wielding it. This means if a player is going fast on a horse, for example, then the damage of the spear will be greater when attacking than if you were to attack with the spear when walking slowly with it. Now, you might be wondering, will any mobs in your Minecraft world be wielding the upcoming spear weapon? Well, this brings me on to the next feature that will be added in the Mounts of Mayhem update. So guys, it is official. The zombie horse is officially being added to Minecraft survival mode in the Mounts of Mayhem update. If you didn't know, the zombie horse has been an unused mob in the game for over 10 years, so it's awesome that it's officially coming to the Mounts of Mayhem drop this year. So the zombie horse will of course spawn at night time, and the horses themselves are passive, but what does this have to do with the new spear weapon? Well, it's confirmed in the Mounts of Mayhem updates that zombies will be riding these upcoming zombie horses. And well, these particular zombies will be wielding spears. That's right, these zombies are going to have spears. This is definitely going to add an extra layer of challenge to your nighttime survival, as you're just going to be wandering around and a spear-wielding zombie is just going to be charging at you on a zombie horse. The next feature that's going to be added into Minecraft is all to do with updating the underwater aspect of the game. That's right, the Mounts of Mayhem update is going to be adding a new underwater mob, and that new mob is known as the Nautilus. So the Nautilus is going to look like this, and the mob is described as being a helpful aquatic mob, and it's able to give the player a speed boost underwater. This is because the upcoming Nautilus is able to be ridden by the player, which will allow you to traverse quickly underwater. Now, what makes the Nautilus stand out from other methods of travelling underwater is that riding the mob actually preserves the player's existing air supply. This means you will be able to ride the new Nautilus mob underwater and not really worry about drowning. It's also worth noting that the new Nautilus mob will need to be tamed in order to be ridden. Now, in order to tame this new upcoming aquatic mob, then you will need to feed the Nautilus its favourite treat, which is currently confirmed to be pufferfish. Not only will you be able to ride the new Nautilus mob, but you can also give it an extra layer of protection, and this brings me to the next feature that will be added in the Mounts of Mayhem update. So, it is confirmed that you will be able to customise your new underwater steed by giving the Nautilus, well, Nautilus Armor. Now, it's said the Nautilus Armor will be found in chests. Whether it's in chests in underwater structures or in structures on land, I'm not really sure. But what I do know is that the Nautilus Armor comes in copper, iron, gold, diamond, and most importantly, netherite. This means your tamed underwater Nautilus mob will be very well protected, as you can just give it some netherite armor and it will be able to tank a lot of hits from a drowned, for example, that's wielding a trident. So overall, I think the Nautilus is going to be a great mob to traverse underwater with. I mean, like I said, you don't run out of air supply when riding it, you can give it some really cool looking armor, and I assume you will be able to go quite fast on the mob, which will be fun for a lot of players. Now, it's also worth noting that the Nautilus will have a baby variant of the mob as well. Now, the baby Nautilus looks like this, and it's likely it's either going to spawn naturally alongside a regular Nautilus, or it will be left up to the player to breed the regular Nautilus with a pufferfish. Or it's even more likely that both these features will be added instead of one or the other, but yeah, we're getting a baby Nautilus as well. Anyways, this brings me on to the next underwater mob that's coming to the Mounts of Mayhem update, and that mob is the Zombie Nautilus. Now, the Zombie Nautilus looks like this, and it can be distinguished from a regular Nautilus by its blue glowing eyes and moss-covered shell. The Zombie Nautilus is confirmed to be a neutral mob, meaning it will only attack you if it's provoked, but regardless, they're still going to be very dangerous, and here is why. So the Zombie Nautilus has a chance to have a hostile rider on the mob, and that rider is going to be none other than the annoying drowned wielding a trident. That's right, there will be a chance to encounter a Zombie Nautilus with a trident wielding drowned on it, which is going to be extremely dangerous. I mean, as most of you know, the drowns that hit you with tridents do a crazy amount of damage, and since a Nautilus mob can travel quite fast underwater, these drowns are going to have no issue keeping up with you and attacking you with their tridents. So yeah, it's safe to say the underwater aspect of Minecraft is going to get a lot more dangerous, and I'm all here for it, to be honest. I think this is going to be an awesome addition to the game. Anyways, those are the features that are confirmed for the Mounts of Mayhem update, which I assume will be for Minecraft 1.22. Now, not only have we been shown all of these underwater features, but we've also finally been given a release date for the Copper update, which is September 30th. So yeah, the Copper update is literally coming to us in a few days, so if you need a recap on all of the features coming to the Copper update, then keep watching. The Minecraft Copper update is giving us incredible new Copper features, including the new Copper torch. So in this video, I will show you some of the new things added in this drop. Minecraft has added a brand new torch in the Copper update, which, you guessed it, is the Copper torch. So the Copper torch is a green variant of the torch, and it's crafted with 1 copper nugget, 1 coal and 1 stick. The functionality of the copper torch is identical to regular torches, but I have to say, a green torch variant looks amazing. Not only did we get a copper torch in the Copper update, we also received the Copper Lantern. Now, the Copper Lantern is crafted similar to regular lanterns, but uses 8 copper nuggets and 1 copper torch. Now, since the Copper Lantern is a copper block, it oxidizes over time and has 4 different variants. We have the regular Copper Lantern, the exposed Copper Lantern, the weathered Copper Lantern, and the oxidized Copper Lantern. Just like with every other copper block, you can use an axe on the Copper Lanterns to remove any oxidization stage it has. On top of this, you can use a honeycomb on the Copper Lantern to turn it into a waxed Copper Lantern, meaning it will stay in whatever oxidization stage it's currently in and won't ever change. Another copper feature we got in the Copper update is the addition of copper chains. Now, the copper chain looks like this and functions the same as the existing chain block, which, by the way, has now been renamed to the iron chain since we now have the copper chain as well. Now, the copper chain is crafted with 2 copper nuggets and 1 copper ingot, and you guessed it, these copper chains can oxidize over time. This means we have the 4 copper chain variants, which is the normal, exposed, weathered, and oxidized. Once again, you can get the waxed variant by using a honeycomb, and you can also remove its oxidization stage by using an axe. But yeah, the copper chains go really well in combination with the new copper lanterns when displayed. Copper bars have also been added, which look like this, and they function the same as the existing iron bars we have in the game. However, these copper bars are actually crafted with diamonds. Nah, I'm joking. The copper bars are also crafted by using 6 copper ingots. The copper bars have 4 copper variants once again and will oxidize over time, so be sure to have an axe and some honeycomb at the ready if you don't want them to change. Another copper item that's been added to the game is the copper horse armor, which looks like this, and I have to say it looks really cool when equipped to a horse. The copper horse armor cannot be crafted and can only be found in generated structures. Minecraft is adding brand new tools to the game, and since this update is essentially known as the copper update, you would be right to assume that these new tools are made of, well, copper. Just simply grab yourself some copper ingots and some sticks and you will be able to craft yourself a copper sword, a copper axe, a copper pickaxe, a copper shovel, and a copper hoe. Now these copper tools are described as being better than stone tools but worse than iron tools. With that said, don't let that put you off using them, and here is why. So the copper tools will deal the same amount of damage as stone tools, but they have a higher durability. These new copper tools will also work and destroy blocks faster than the stone variants, so that will definitely come in handy when you haven't come across any iron yet to make iron tools. According to the wiki, a copper pickaxe is able to mine and destroy emerald, gold, and diamond related blocks, but when we try this in game, it doesn't seem to work. But since these copper tools are in very early development, this could change in the future. Another interesting thing to note about the new copper tools is that they have a better enchant rate than diamond tools, but slightly less than iron. So essentially, you can use your copper tools to get some pretty good enchantments on them instead of taking the chance of your diamond tools getting worse enchantments. And since these copper tools are going to have pretty good durability, it might be worth enchanting them. Not only did we get copper tools in the new copper update, we also got a new armor type. Now you guessed it, this type of armor is copper armor, and it looks like this. The copper armor is crafted by using copper ingots, and it uses the same recipe layout as all the other armor counterparts in the game. Now the armor itself is okay. I mean, a full set of copper armor will give the player 5 chestplate icons on the meter, whereas a full set of iron armor gives you 7.5. So yeah, iron armor is still slightly better. It's also worth noting though that a full leather armor set only gives you 3.5 chestplate icons, so yeah, at least it's better than leather armor. It's also useful to know that the copper armor has higher durability than leather armor but less than iron armor, so yeah, the copper armor truly is just okay, but still cool to have nonetheless. Now we are here to talk about the most anticipated and exciting feature of the copper update, and that is of course the addition of the copper golem and the copper chest. As some of you know, the copper golem was first announced at Minecraft Live 2021, and it was part of a mob vote between 2 other mobs, which were the Glare and the Allay. Now the Allay of course won the mob vote, but Mojang did say they were going to add the copper golem later on, and here we are today in 2025 and Mojang have finally delivered.
The copper golem was a fan favorite and one beloved in the development team as well, and we wanted to bring it back with a bit more of an engaging mechanic, and also because it's just a cute little thing.
So in order to get a copper golem, you simply just need a regular copper block or a waxed copper block. Then just place a carved pumpkin on top and bam, you have spawned the copper golem along with a copper chest. Now as you probably know, copper oxidizes and changes color. This means the copper golem is no exception to the rule and comes in 4 different color variants. These are the unoxidized golem, the exposed golem, the weathered golem, and the oxidized golem. This means you can use exposed, weathered, and oxidized copper blocks along with a carved pumpkin to spawn those color variants of the copper golem. The same also applies to the copper chest colors, as spawning this mob gives you the chest as well. Another interesting thing you can do when spawning in the copper golem is to create a double chest. That's right, just simply place 2 copper blocks and 2 carved pumpkins next to each other and you'll get 2 copper golems but a double copper chest, as you can see, instead of 2 single ones. Now the purpose of the copper golem and the copper chest is to provide the player with much better inventory management. What I mean by by this is the copper golem's purpose is to move different items from the copper chest and sort them into their own individual chests. For example, if I put diamonds, dirt, bread and oak planks in the copper chest, then the copper golem will take the stack of diamonds and put it in one chest, but then take the stack of dirt and put it in another chest. This is actually really useful if you're creating a storage room in your base and want your items to be sorted individually and have them organized into different chests. What's also interesting about the copper golem is if they, for example, want to put diamonds in a chest but it's already got dirt in it, for example, then they will open the chest, see that it has a different item in it, and then walk away from it and find another chest that's either empty or has diamonds in it as well. You can actually help the copper golem though if they get a bit confused, as you can take the dirt out of the chest and then the golem will eventually put the diamonds in said chest as intended. Another thing to note about copper golems and copper chests is that the golem will only take items out of the chest in 16 stack increments. So if you have a 64 stack of diamonds in the copper chest, then the golem will only take 16 diamonds out at a time. Now that we've talked about the mechanics of the copper golem and copper chest, let's talk about these two features individually. So the copper golem is a passive mob and only has 6 hearts of health. When killed by the player, it can drop 1 to 3 copper ingots upon death, but you guys wouldn't be heartless enough to end a copper golem, would you? Hey, I had to do it for the purpose of the video, it doesn't count, okay? Just like the copper blocks, the copper golem itself can oxidize over time. Okay, so as you know, the copper golem will start off unoxidized, but after around 7 hours, it will begin the first stage. The first stage is the exposed variant, where the golem becomes discolored and green spots begin to appear. As oxidation continues, it becomes a weathered copper golem, becoming green in color with brown spots. Then the copper golem reaches its last stage, which is the oxidized copper golem, where the mob becomes a teal color with several green spots. Now let's talk about the copper chest in more detail. So as you know, the copper chest is obtained by creating a copper golem, but you can also craft the chest by using 8 copper ingots and 1 chest. Just like the copper blocks and copper golem, the copper chest is also able to oxidize in the same 4 stages I mentioned before. The copper chest has the same storage as a regular chest, having 27 item slots for a single copper chest and 54 item slots for a double copper chest. The next new feature that has been added in the copper update for Java Edition is the addition of these copper statues, which look like this. Now there are 8 different variants of the copper statue. We've got the regular one right here, we've got the exposed copper golem statue, the weathered one, the oxidized one, and then we have the waxed variant. So we've got the waxed copper golem, the waxed exposed copper golem, the waxed weather copper golem statue, and finally the waxed oxidized copper golem statue. I'm sorry, can we just talk about how long some of the item names are? I mean, waxed exposed copper golem statue, that is literally such a mouthful. Now what's really cool about these copper golem statues is that you can interact with them to change their poses. So if you right click on them, you can have up to 4 different poses for the copper golem, and I think these look really cool. I'm a big fan of these. So the 4 different poses is the sitting pose right here, and then you've got its walking animation pose, and then you've got the pose of it taking something out of a chest, I think it is, and then you've got the pose of it just standing still. Now in order to obtain one of these copper golem statues, you need to wait for a regular copper golem mob to turn into an oxidized copper golem, and then eventually after some time this oxidized copper golem will turn into a statue.
2 hours later.
As you can see, after some time this oxidized copper golem has turned into a oxidized copper statue, and you can now interact with it and change all of the poses with it, as you can see. Now if you want to change the oxidization state of the copper golem statue, then all you need to do is go up to this oxidized copper golem statue with an axe and right click on it, and as you can see it's now become a weathered copper golem statue. You can then right click on it again to turn it into an exposed copper golem, and then again to turn it into a regular copper golem, and then you can right click on it a final time to turn it back into a regular copper golem mob. So as you can see, this guy is alive and well again. He's walking around chilling, And yeah, it's actually pretty cool that you can turn them back into regular copper golem. The next new feature that we have been blessed with in the Minecraft Copper update for Java Edition is a feature that has nothing to do with copper, but is an exciting one nonetheless, and that is the shelves, which look like this. Now the shelves come in 12 different wood variants, as you can see. We've got the oak shelf, the spruce shelf, the birch shelf, the jungle shelf, the acacia shelf, the dark oak shelf, we've got the mangrove shelf, the cherry shelf, the pale oak shelf, and we've got the bamboo shelf, the crimson shelf, and finally the warped shelf. Why did I say all of that? I'm sure you guys knew this already. It was a lot of stuff to say. I probably didn't need to list off all of the shelves individually, but yeah, you guys get the gist. Now, in order to craft these new shelves in Minecraft, you are going to need the stripped variants of the wood. So if I put in 6 stripped oak logs, you can see I can craft an oak shelf right here. Then if I put in 6 stripped cherry logs, you can see I can craft a cherry shelf, which looks really cool. And finally, if I put in 6 stripped variants of the pale oak logs, you can see that I get a pale oak shelf, which again looks really cool. Now, as you can see, the individual shelves have 3 item slots to store items. So if I store some diamonds in this shelf right here, you'll see that it appears in the middle, and then if I put in some diamond ore, it appears on the left, and then if I put in the diamond block, it appears on the right. What's also cool about the shelves is that you can store items up to a 64 stack, so I could put a stack of steaks, a stack of chicken, and a stack of mutton. I wonder if you could store these new copper golem statues. Yep, you can put them in there and they look really funny, so let's just put the others in there. And there you go. I love the way these are displayed. So yeah, you can pretty much put any item you want in these shelves, and I have to say they're going to be really useful for people that want to organise their items as well as display them at the same time. Another copper item I forgot to mention is the copper nugget. Just like iron and gold nuggets, copper ingots are now able to be turned into 9 copper nuggets by simply placing them in the crafting grid. The copper nugget was likely added as players are able to smelt iron and gold equipment in a furnace to give them the respective nuggets, so it makes sense that you should be able to do the same thing with the copper items as well. But there you have it, those are all of the new copper features that have been revealed for the Minecraft Copper update.